Welcome to the KC and PC Fantasy Football Podcast. It is week 6 of the fantasy football season. We're almost halfway through the regular season, really into the swing of things now. You probably have a good idea of who's going to carry you into the playoffs, hopefully, and what scrubs you just probably need to put on the waivers. This week we wanted to talk about something that comes up from time to time during the course of the season, and that's when and how to trade. And when it comes to fantasy, what are some tricks of the trade? Well, first off, you have to realize that every trade has to be a win-win, or at least perceived win-win from both people's perspective. You get what you want, and they get what they want, and at the end of the day, you're both better off. No one clearly is going into a trade ever trying to get screwed.
I think we should back up a bit, back to what I call the reach out. How do you reach out to potential trade partners? On the league page? A text? A call? A formal letter written completely in cursive? I like to reach out to multiple marks by text. Test the waters a little, See who's willing to talk and who's not interested.
I like to post on the league page specifying what I'm looking for. Let the offers come to me. If I have an MVP caliber player that I'm putting on the trade block, I want to be wooed a little bit. Some chocolates, some wine, flowers, the whole 9 yards.
9 yards wouldn't be worth a single point in your league.
True. Of course, if I'm desperate, I'll just start sending out a few trade requests to start the ball rolling. As for when to trade, it's pretty simple. You want to try and time it. It sounds simple at least. You want to time it so that your asset has peaked and the guy you're trading for hasn't. He may not be at his lowest of lows, but he's definitely not at his highest of highs. Whether that's points wise or matchup wise, touches per game wise, it doesn't really matter. Obviously, it's just way easier said than done.
If I'm pretty sure that I'm making the playoffs, I'll look at trades based on future matchups. See what defenses my guys are playing and try to get friendlier matchups for weeks 14 through 16. Especially for backups. Extra depth never hurts.
One thing I'll admit to struggling with is loving the players I drafted a little too much. They're my babies, and when they're doing well, I'm pretty proud of them and of myself. Often, though, I'll hang on to some of the underperformers longer than I should because some sense of shame that guy really hasn't panned out yet. I'll cling to the hope that he's about to turn it around this week. This is the week he's going to do it. He's finally going to break 5 points. That 5-point barrier is just so difficult to break. And then he's finally been demoted to third-string cheerleader or something, and just have to reason it out in my head that since he's, this is how I think of it, but in my head, he's had a terrible year in the early part of the year. Okay, that's fine because he's due for big weeks later on, right? He's really due for it.
So you're the super clingy type? I've known a few of those in my day. You just have to put that firewall up and move on, bro.
Thanks, PC. I'll try to keep that in mind. Welcome back to the KC and PC Fantasy Football Podcast. Right now we have a guest that we're welcoming in. It's a man who claims that police sketch isn't him. It's Ross Dusenberry. Ross, how's it going there?
Pretty good. How are you, Kevin?
I'm doing all right, man. Not too shabby. I'm just going to ask you a few questions about the NFL and the Gangster for Life League and just kind of get your takes on and opinions on some of these questions here.
Sounds complicated. I'm in.
All right. So first of all, how do you prepare for the draft?
Trick question. Got a shot for you. You ready?
Okay. We'll take these shots. What is this?
This is whiskey.
Okay.
Cheers.
Whiskey. Bottoms up.
Amount.
Bottoms up. Ooh, that's smooth.
All right.
So
good sport.
smooth.
I'm ready now. All right. Ask away.
Preparing for the draft.
Yes, sir.
Do you?
I listened to a podcast today.
All right.
I plan on looking up some information on the internet tomorrow.
That's fine. That works.
Before the draft, to be clear.
Okay, good.
You gotta get it in the right order.
Good. Now, if the NFL were to add an expansion team, which city should it go in? You know, if it didn't, population-wise, it didn't matter.
Honolulu. Come on,
Ooh.
Hawaii needs to be represented. You know, it's
like
the right
it.
move.
I like it. Instead of the Pro Bowl, have a team just over there that people can vacate. It's kind of like the London thing, almost.
Kinda. How great would it be for the Patriots to go like 14-0 and have to go play in Honolulu one day? Totally screw them up.
Be pretty awesome. All right, if you were the inventor of a kid's toy called the bubble screen, what would the toy look like or do you think? The bubble screen.
Screen. I feel like it would. You know that game where you gotta like press all the bubbles in like the grid as they light up?
Oh yeah, kind of like
It's
a
like
whack-a-mole.
that, except that there's just it's just two on each side, and if you wear a Texas A&M shirt, you fail at it if you're defending.
Okay, fair enough. Yes. It's a
Watched
slam
that
at
too
the-
many times. It was just like the go-to. Hey, they can't defend this. It's 6 yards every time, guaranteed.
All right, and what percentage would you say of luck versus skill is fantasy football?
Give it a solid 70-30. 70 luck, 30 skill.
Okay.
That's probably being too generous on the luck side, but you know what? There's a lot of variables.
For sure. So who do you think will be the better announcer in 5 years, Jason Witten or Tony Romo?
Tony Romo. He's already proven himself. Look at the man. That's what he's born to do. Clearly, his back was not made for football.
Yes, that's true. He was made for announcing, not playing football. So what are your predictions then? Speaking of the Cowboys, what are your predictions for the Cowboys record-wise? Do you think they're going to the playoffs? Are they going to the Super Bowl? You feeling it this year?
Who's receiving? Who's blocking? Who's even playing defense? Sean Lee's going to be broken 2 to 5 games in. It's just. Yeah, I hope for the best. I'm prepared for the worst.
Yes, as usual. So would you be more or less likely to watch a game in which all the players were concussed or suffering from CTE? Would that be more interesting?
I mean, I feel like the obvious answer to that is no. I mean, you don't want to watch a bunch of old-timers out there just banged up, dizzy. But, to the broader point, I don't know. How are you going to fix that? How are you going to fix football without dismantling it?
Well, Ross, we thank you for joining us here, and we wish you good luck in the season, just not against me.
Fair enough. Good luck
All
to you
right.
too.
Thank you. Well, this week, since we're kind of talking trades, I thought it'd be interesting to talk about coaches that were traded. It's something that does not happen hardly at all, but when it does, it's really, really noteworthy. So here are just a couple of them, and then one that almost happened. So, I mean, most of you already know Bill Belichick. You may have watched the ESPN 30 for 30 called The Two Bills, which premiered a little while ago. But after Bill Parcells left the Jets in 2000, Belichick was the heir apparent. So they just expected Parcells to resign and Belichick to take over. Well, one day later, after Parcells was out, Belichick resigned. So he was done. He was out. Which was strange because he had this NFL head coaching gig just waiting for him. Well, 2 weeks later, he signs with the Patriots. So that was kind of strange. Obviously, there had been some talk between him and Bob Kraft or something going on at that point. And so the Jets were kind of mad about this, obviously, and they demanded something for Belichick. And so the commissioner at the time gave the Patriots first-round pick to the Jets. So that was, I mean, probably at the outset, the Patriots weren't too happy about that, really, giving up a first-round pick just for a coach, but in the end, clearly, it worked out much better for the Patriots. The second coach who was traded was John Gruden. So after back-to-back playoff appearances back in the day, Gruden was on the rise in Oakland. But the Raiders owner at the time, Al Davis, R.I.P., didn't want to give him a big contract and also wanted a different offensive style. He didn't really like what Gruden was putting out on the field. So he sent Gruden to the Tampa Bay Bucks for 2 first-round picks and 2 second-rounders. So that's quite the haul for a coach. You might even think that's better. Well, that is better than what the Jets got for Belichick. But again, this coach got the last laugh. In his first year, Gruden actually beat his former team, the Raiders, in the Super Bowl, Tampa Bay's one and only Super Bowl. So again, that worked out for the team who traded for the coach. And then there's this really almost could have been alternate timeline type of thing that happened. So there's a near trade of a coach. And believe it or not, Jim Harbaugh was almost shipped to the Cleveland Browns. So for whatever reason, the 49ers front office was really never a huge fan of Harbaugh. I guess it was his personality and maybe his coaching style, I'm not sure. But after the 2014 season, Harbaugh decided to take the head coaching job at Michigan. But before that 2014 season, the Browns actually tried to send multiple picks to the 49ers for Harbaugh. So I'm guessing it would have been something along the same lines as what the Bucks got for Gruden. A couple, 2-3 picks, maybe, who knows. But the only thing that stopped the deal from going through was that Harbaugh actually had a no-trade clause in his contract. And I'm not sure how many coaches have that, but you'd think that a few of them would want to start putting him in if this is going to become a more common occurrence. So there you go. There are 2 did happens and 1 almost happened of coaches that were traded.